Madoff, yeah. Where is it? I just got the report in. Chairman of Satyam Computer Systems. Now this is listed in New York. Has resigned, Mr. Raju, we'll call him, from his position after he said that he lied. It must be related to Madoff. Regarding the company's profits and its assets, Mr. Raju said in a statement that the company's assets had been falsified and their profits were inflated over a period of years. It didn't happen yesterday. It's been going on for a long time. Satyam shares, once one of the leaders in the Indian stock market, have fallen by 60% today. And the depth of these lies is quite astonishing. In the early reports, we were told that of the 53.6 billion rupees that Satyam supposedly had in the bank at the end of September, only 3.2 billion are real. I mean, that is bad. I'll give you those two figures again. They said they had 53.6 billion rupees. They only got 3.2. Wow. And you're going to see lots and lots of these. And the business community is just a bunch of crooks. And they were allowed to run right. Now, again, the SEC has plenty of time to chase small and little, medium-sized firms and brokers and newsletter writers, accusing them of things that they never did, forcing them to defend themselves, and do nothing about this. This is listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Give me a break. They had to have known about this. They can't be that stupid. This is the kind of protection America's got. Zero. All they do is protect the big corporate interests, the big brokerage firms in Wall Street, the banks, the insurance companies. They're a protective mechanism for the Illuminists. They don't give one hoot about you. And the good people in the industry, all they do is harass them. I talked to a man the other day who's been a subscriber for a number of years. Let me think back. Maybe 14, 15 years. And he owns a brokerage firm. And he's in California. And I've met him personally several times. And he's selling out his interest in his brokerage firm. He's 60. To the men who work with him. And he said, we followed everything that you've recommended. And he said, we've been so prosperous for ourselves and our clients. It's unbelievable. We've got you to thank for it. And on and on. But the reason I'm telling you this is another reason. And that is, he said, I'm sick and tired of having the state, the NASD, and the SEC in my office perpetually. I happen to pay accountants and auditors and attorneys to defend myself against things I never did. And they find one number out of place, and they find me $50,000. I can't put up with it any longer. Now that's what I put up with. From 1967 on, I got attacked by the United States government, and particularly the SEC, because I was in that business. I got audited 14 years in a row by the IRS. I mean, you talk about political persecution. God knows how many times I've been threatened by the government. And they can't catch Satyam. They can't find out that Bernard Madoff is stealing money from everybody. For those of you who are subscribers, you've seen the information that has been sent to me by some of my research people. This Madoff caper involves a whole bunch of people, including the SEC. The government knew about it. The major firms were involved. J.P. Morgan Chase, Union Bank Suisse. Greenwich was nothing but a cutout. This money was stolen. There was no pyramid scheme. It was just stolen. And whether it'll come out or not, I don't know. But I will continue to carry what I'm carrying. And you'll continue to get the real truth in the International Forecaster. Because they ain't going to stop me. And they know I have no fear. I used to work for them. And we're going to get to the bottom of it and find out who did what to whom. But I don't think Madoff's the big player. There's others.
Bob, other countries, do they have the same degree of corruption? Do they have the same, well, we all know governments are corrupt, but they're
all the same.
They're all the same.
There are exceptions from time to time, but they're all the same. I mean, in Germany you've got 3 major parties, and actually 2, and the corruption's unbelievable. In England, the backhander, which is the payoff, is commonplace, and that goes for everybody in the Commonwealth. And that includes Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, people, countries that used to be part of the British Commonwealth. They all have the same mentality. And then you get in the Latin American countries, it's institutionalized. And, I talked to a fellow the other day who runs what the equivalent in one of those countries of the IRS for collection purposes. And it's sort of like one for me, one for you, one for me. What does that mean? It means that this fellow goes out to company A and says, to company A, we find that you owe us about $200,000 with used dollars. And the company's going to look at it and say, hey, yeah, I guess we do. Can we make a deal? And he's going to say, yeah. You give me $20,000. You give the government $100, and we'll forget the other $100. Now that's institutionalized corruption, and but everybody knows how the system works, and people are willing to live with that kind of a system. From time to time, you do have revolutions in countries, but they don't happen usually, but every 100 years or something. And but all countries are corrupt. But the most corrupt of all is the United States. I lived in this United States for 60 years. And I was brought up that we were the good guys. We didn't lie, cheat, and steal. We tried to do the best we can. We were fair with people and all of the things that you older people remember. Ain't that way anymore. It is totally and thoroughly, irretrievably corrupt. And it's not only government. It's corporations, Wall Street banks, insurance companies, and the people who are behind the government controlling it. And believe me, they're deathly afraid. Because they've opened the window of opportunity to put in their world government that Mr. Kissinger says that Mr. Obama is going to bring us. And when they open that window up, they also allow us to fly free. And if they lose, they're dead. And they know it. Because they know that there's people like me out there who know all of the people involved. Who to try, who to put in jail, who to hang or guillotine, and where to get all of their assets. And that's what's going to happen to them. And they're deathly afraid of that. Because if you read the interview, and this man has been saying this for 10 years. He's a professor in Moscow. His name is Igor Panarin. And he's been saying that for 10 years, that he believes that, incidentally, he's the head of the Foreign Ministry's Academy for Future Diplomats as well. He's a former KGB analyst. And I have great respect for the KGB because I used to work against them. And they are not dumb people. The Russians are very smart people, and the KGB was every bit as equal as we were in counterintelligence. And he says America's going to break up in 6 sections because they're going to have revolution. And I'll be reporting that in Saturday's issue.
Yeah, I saw that. It is interesting, Bob.
No, let me tell you what it is. It's the truth. Next year will be a worse year. And the year after will be equal to that year and the year after that. This thing is not going to bottom, at least for 2 or 3 or 4 years. And anything can upset it in between. I have other people saying to me, well, with all the things that you and so-and-so and so-and-so say, don't you think this is going to happen like next week? And I say, no. You got to be patient. These people are struggling to time this collapse to their best advantage. And that collapse will run parallel to them, the elitists who run the world, instituting a new war. Now, what they've done in the Middle East is not overtly and directly attacked Iran. They're backdooring the situation. And what they're doing is going after Gaza, Palestine first, to inflame. And then it's Lebanon, Syria, and then eventually Iran. And that could take 6 months, a year and a half. Could happen in 3 weeks. It's hard to say. But I think it'll take longer. Israel will grind it out. And they're doing the wrong thing. It's terrible what they're doing. And it has nothing to do with Israeli survival and everything to do with expansionism. And it's wrong. And I don't have any particular like or dislike for either side. I try to be fair. And they are going to be the instrument to begin World War III, and I think it's begun. And there's 2 reasons for that: to solidify the elitist position in the Middle East, and second of all, as a distraction to the terrible financial and economic calamity that awaits us. I think, historically, this is probably going to be as bad as the deliberate collapse of the Lombard system in 1348, the year of the plague as well, that took down all the finances in Europe. And this gang that runs things from behind the scene were all thrown out of Venice. And they all went to Western Europe, mainly to Holland and to Wales, the only places that would accept them. And from those levels, they've again, over the centuries, done the same thing over and over and over again. These are the same families doing the same thing. And so we want to stop once and for all, and we got the opportunity and the communications to do it. We've got this program and others like it, and now we have the Internet, and we can reach millions and millions and millions of people. And every day we get letters from all over the world. And so we're reaching millions and millions of people every day. And education is good, because then when these things happen, people will know who's doing what to them and what to do about it. And so that's what's going on, generally speaking. Under normal circumstances, gold would be $2,000 an ounce. This isn't normal. We got the government working against us. The amount of money that is being dished out is beyond imagination. The amount of money that banks are going to need to keep from going bankrupt. They are bankrupt. The the 5 major legacy banks, as they're called. What legacy means, I don't know. Used to be called money center banks. They're all broke. Major brokerage firms are all broke. And it's government money, your taxpayer money, that's keeping them alive. Citigroup alone is going to need another $50 billion, even after they sell everything off. That's why they're frantically doing what they're doing. And, you know, Morgan Stanley's buying Smith Barney, their brokerage unit. Morgan Stanley's not in any better position than they are. But that's the way it is. I expect another maybe $300 to $400 billion to be poured into the financial sector. You haven't seen anything yet. I mean, this problem is so systemic, so bad, that you just can't imagine how bad it is. I mean, this was unbelievable, unbridled greed. I mean, these people simply went bananas. I mean, there wasn't enough money that they couldn't steal.